This trailer was made for this tiller. I'm telling you, separated at birth. I drove it up, well, I pushed it up on here just to see dimensionally how it would fit. Obviously I haven't stripped the tiller unit back there, but I just wanted to kind of get an idea of how this thing's going to sit on here. If you remember, there was a piece of angle iron here that ran across. I took the grinding wheel and I chopped that sucker out. I don't need that. I chopped out the old battery box in the front because, well, don't need that. I think I'm going to leave the front angle iron is a good stop. It's a nice way for me not to be able to drive off the end and in the back of my truck, in theory. It allows just enough overhang that there's a 60-pound counterweight that sits on here, and the engine obviously goes there. But how it sits size-wise, I'm pretty happy with that. I think that'll work. A few design changes. You know, I took the battery box off because that just wasn't going to work, but I could stick two singles right there. Hold on. Oh, I just walked through a spider web. Hold on. Okay, where was I? Just walked through a spider web. The singles will fit just like that. I don't need more than 2 gallons of gas. 2 gallons of gas plus a full tank in that engine should give me 14 to 16 hours of till time, and that's way more tilling than I want to do. Way more. And it centers it kind of nice. That's a good looking wheel. Got the levers on, got the handlebar on. This lever's not hooked up yet. This is for the tensioner, the idler pulley for this. But the gear shifter's hooked up and the lever for the front. Bitty 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 bitty. It's hooked up. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Here's the shifter. It's got reverse, neutral, and 4 forward gears. Looks nice when they're painted. Doesn't look nearly as ugly. That should be strong though. That thing just feels solid. It feels way more solid than it did before. I used to be able to grab this and you'd feel it do this. So I think it's a combination of making sure all the bolts are nice and tight, which they are, and getting that welded on there. I'm pretty happy. So, and a couple other design changes have occurred as well. Originally I was talking about doing a tailgate, one that would fold up kind of like this. You would come up and fold up like this, and then it would flop down to give myself a ramp. But that's just not going to work. I've got 23 inches from the lip of the trailer to this lever, which would give me just short of a 48-inch ramp. And 48 inches from there to the ground is too steep. See, the way this thing is built, I have 25 inches from the center of this axle to there, and it's 29 inches from the center of the axle to just to where the back fender would be, which means if I want to ramp this in a single piece ramp, or a nice flat ramp, that thing's gonna have to be about 6 feet long, and that will never fit. It's just not gonna fit. But, and I don't know why I didn't figure this out before, because when I was using my big trailer, that's what I had to have. I had about a 7-foot long ramp. Actually, I use a 2x12. 2 7-foot 2x12s. I drive this on and off without a problem. A little dirt, my dirty hands on my fresh paint. But here's my solution. I'm gonna make 2 individual ramps. At 48 inches, how I got this on there, I took 2 2x4s, one here and one here, 48 inches long, and I just made sure they contacted the wheels. And that allows enough center space to where this won't hit, the tines won't hit, and the front won't auger in. Because the problem when you get really steep, by the time the ramp hits this wheel, this is already hitting the center if you do a flat platform. So the idea is I'm likely just going to make 2 individual ramps, and because I'm super fresh, I'm going to stow them underneath. You know, just have them pull out flat, and zzz, hit the stop, and then I'll be able to tip it down. And when I'm done, I'll raise it up flat, slide it back underneath, slide the second one underneath, pin it, dink, dink, so I don't lose it, and I can get a full 47 inches between the front of the trailer and back here. Yeah, so I'll make 2 individual ones that just touch the tires. I'm digging it. I'm digging this. This is so cool. Let me show you what else I'm working on. Oh yeah, I just wanted to look at that. That's awesome. Awesome. So here's that weight that goes on the front. Each one of these plates is 31 pounds. Is 31 pounds. Plus the flat stock and the pipe and everything. So 63, 64 pounds, which balances out quite nicely actually. I can really, on not so hard soil, I could really pretty much operate this with one hand. So that's pretty cool. I like that. Let's go inside the shed. So going inside here where you can actually see the floor. That's awesome. I can see the floor. I'm still mulling around the idea of what I'm going to do for a muffler, and I don't want to run straight pipes. I thought about that for about half a second, but I don't want to do straight pipes because I predominantly use this machine in residential areas in the city, and I don't want to piss every neighbor off around me. That's just more hassle than I want to deal with. So I'm going to make some kind of muffling can and 1 or 2 stacks up top. Still have to finish up the chain guard that ripped. Straighten up this arm here, this little tab. Which tab is it? This tab. This tab's bent back a little bit, so I'm going to heat that real good and bend that straight. This is the tiller axle. And then before I get done today, I want to strip these. This is the rear flapper. You want to be sure you keep your hands and feet out. And then the 2 fenders. I'm going to deal with stripping these today before I call it a day. And the 2 fenders. We'll get those stripped and in primer today, and then yeah, I'll be good, and see if this week if I can put a little color on those things. Start putting this machine back together. Oh, this is the depth gauge. The little foot that drags back by the tines keeps your depth in check. Pretty slick indeed. There's a fender before, there's a fender after. Put this thing in primer. This is a little recess that's pressed in there to give the drive pulley a little clearance. Pretty cool. Cleaned up all right. Got both sides to shine up real nice. I ended up not blasting it. I just hit it with the wire wheel on an angle grinder. Just worked it. Now I gotta do this one. See how they come out. Got both sides stripped down to shiny metal. A nice fast drying Rust-Oleum primer. It's starting to lose daylight though. I don't know if I'm gonna get it into green today, probably not, but if anything, it gets them stripped and primed. Now it's on to the rear flapper. Ah, the pretty decal. It's gonna go by way of the wire wheel. It's not too ugly. It's got some pitting in there. Let me take my earplugs out. It's got a little pitting in there underneath that decal. But 2 coats of primer, 2 coats of green, and I'm putting decals back on it, same as stock. Now to do the back side. Yeah, not too bad. Backside primer, call it a day. Alright, so this is where we leave it for Sunday afternoon. I got to go. I got things to do. But this one's still wet. That's why it's hanging. That's the rear flapper door. And then here are the 2 fenders in primer, both sides. These are dry. I could actually, if I wanted to, put some green on here, but I'm going to leave it be for tonight. So there you go, guys. Thanks for watching. See how much I can get done during the week.